my fellow members of the Board of Directors. We are gathered here today in order to discuss the forecast of cost and demand for the next 5 weeks.
Christos, we need to make sure that everybody's here first.
Konstantinos. Christos. Garv. Giuseppe. Mark. Tom.
Now we have Giuseppe, who is connected from Milan.
So hello everyone, I'm here. So let's start by showing the projected numbers for the next few weeks. So we can particularly notice low figures in operation utilization due to bank holidays in those specific weeks. Further on, if we multiply the first three rows, we can then come up with our total production capacity, which we can then compare to our forecasted demand in those same weeks.
But wait, there are negative numbers. We won't be able to meet our demand.
So thank you, Garv, for pointing that out. And yes, going on specifically in weeks 49, 50, 52, and in the first week of the new year, our production need will be higher than our total production capacity.
Why don't we source the products from Belgium? Giuseppe, plot the numbers.
So Garv, here are the numbers. We can see in the first two rows the dia production tons and the cost per unit of producing those tons. Then we can see what we should need to source in Belgium in the third row, and also the free production capacity we have in Belgium's facility.
But for week 1, the free production capacity is 93. Why don't we produce it in the previous week?
So Garv, you're perfectly right. In week 1, our free production capacity is actually lower than the demand we would need to produce in the Belgian facility. For that reason, you correctly say we can allocate the extra amount that we should produce in week 1 to the previous week, as our analysts already forecasted demand for the said period. So here is the adjusted data for which we multiply the production tons in both facility by their average cost of production, which is of 600 for Aldaia and of 650 for Rotselaar. However, I have to mention that the transportation from Rotselaar to Aldaia will involve a cost per unit of production, which is expressed in the table. Finally, we'll get to an average total cost per ton for Rotselaar, which is slightly higher, as it involves also a higher cost of transportation. Thank you.
Okay, so that's a considerable solution, Giuseppe.
Having that said, we should not only focus on operations number, but we should also break down the implications of this sector. What do you guys think?
Now let's take a closer look at the problems we might face by outsourcing our production. First, we have consistency. While having a production plant in Belgium might increase our supply, we have also problems with the flexibility. That means if we have to react to certain demand changes here in Spain, it's more complicated to communicate with the production plant in Belgium when we have to adjust our production volumes.
Also, relying on another factory could cause some disruptions, like what if there's supply shortages or production issues, or unforeseen events like strikes or weather disruptions that could affect the transport.
The next point, guys, is sustainability. Think about it. Transporting goods from Belgium to Spain will contribute to our CO2 emissions and pollution into the air.
Don't you guys think that the long distance trucking would propose a significant amount of carbon emission, which would make it very difficult for us to deal with our environmental goals of carbon reduction?
We also have to bear in mind the cost of gasoline.
I agree completely.
Anyways, furthermore, we have to remember that there might be delays during the transport. 2,000 kilometers is a long distance, and we also have to ensure that the quality of the product stays consistent. It has the same characteristics, and even though it has a different composition.
That's pretty considerate, and we should bring this to the vote.
After thoughtful consideration, I believe that our goal is to first reach our capacity through Spain's resources, and as an extreme case, with the extreme schedule program before, to reach the supply through Belgium's resources as well. What do you guys think?
Okay, is everyone in favor of that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, then it's agreed.
The chairman is being investigated. Any comments on that?
No question.
You're being investigated for illegal cartel activities. Explain yourself. What did you talk about?
I want my lawyer now.
My client will not answer any questions. Let's go.